On this week's episode, the boys review Concept Destruction and try to decide if the correct name of a game is Godfall or Godfart. Also, it's somebody's birthday. Find out who on this week's episode of PlayPS5, the podcast.
Ho, 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 and no, I'm not talking about your auntie, Alex. It is Christmas time, baby, but here's the thing. And not only is it Christmas time, but it is time to bend somebody over my knee because we've got a birthday boy in the house. Birthday boy in the house. So what do you guys say for yourself, Alex?
I got a couple things to say. First, it's my birthday. It reminds me of my teenage years because apparently people watching on YouTube, I suddenly got a third eye growing between my eyes. I don't know what that's about. I'm a grown man still getting pimples. Whatever. Second of all, Adam, I want to thank you for the best birthday present you gave me. No, I'm not talking about the sweet Play PS5 podcast toboggan you got here that you sent me. Thank you very much for that. The best gift is watching you get flamed on the internet, Adam. Thank you. This is Play PS5, the podcast, but I want to talk real quick. A little PSA. Please forgive whatever Adam says on YouTube or on Twitter for how stupid it is. Recently, Adam came out. Wow, everybody. Did you know that your PlayStation 5 can turn on your TV?
Dude, that never happened to me. I don't care what these people say. That has never happened, and it blew me away.
So Adam told me that, and the first thing I said was, yeah, my PlayStation 3 used to do it. It's cool. It's HDMI. And then I go on Twitter, and I look, and there's literally 50 people replying to that tweet. I think, Adam, I don't know the jargon for social media. I think the term is you got ratioed there. You got ratioed. Because it was more people saying, well, you're so dumb. Yeah, of course this is happening. And not so many people saying, wow, that's cool. But it's just great watching Adam get excited and then just people beat down on him on Twitter. Honestly, it was a net positive for the podcast because I think Adam, in a clever move, maybe this was by design, I think you just followed every single person that replied to us, and about half of them followed us back. So thank you for the new followers. Hopefully you're listening to the podcast. If you got things to flame Adam about, great. But Adam doubled down on the gifts this week when he posted a YouTube video about the best PlayStation 4 games to play on the PlayStation 5, and he included Bloodborne, which is notoriously under-optimized for the PlayStation 5. The first comments we get are, I can't play Bloodborne on the PlayStation 5. It just does 30 frames per second. It's unplayable. Adam, what do you have to say for yourself with regard to Bloodborne on the PlayStation 5?
Listen, okay. Alex, listen, okay? Listen, Alex, you need to hush because you ready? You need to hush. Yeah, I'm sick of you talking crap about me. And also, we've got a guest. We have a guest caller, Alex. A guest, are you there?
It says connecting to audio. Just so we know, I don't know who this is. This is a total surprise to me.
This is fantastic. And I got sick of you just berating me. And so I'm bringing someone on, and they're going to tell you a piece of their mind.
They're going to unmute their mic first, hopefully. That's what I see, that their mic is muted.
Well, they are learning as they go. But the thing with this is that I feel like Bloodborne is a fantastic game. It is one of the best in the PS4 generation. And I think our guest is ready. And I'm going to let them have the floor. And I don't know. I don't know what they'll say. It's all yours.
Guest? What do you have to say, guest?
Hello.
Well, hello?
Is this Steve?
Yeah. Steve?
Can I talk to Steve?
Who's Steve?
Who is this?
Adam, I don't know what the bit is right here. I'm getting kind of nervous.
I don't know, man. You got to
Alex. Who is this? Who am I talking to?
Is this the podcast?
This is the podcast. This is Play PS5, the podcast. What's going on? What's going on, guest?
Am I the first caller?
I think you're the first caller. You might be the last caller, too, depending on how this goes. What's good? What's good?
I love your podcast.
Great. I'm glad you love the podcast. Who am I talking to?
I also have a crush on you, Mr. Alex.
This is great. I'm so happy somebody has a crush on me. It sounds almost like I just have somebody running through automated sequences. So it would be nice if you could let me know what is 2 + 2, guest.
I have a crush on you, Mr. Alex.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm starting to get a crush on you too.
Will you have babies with me?
Yeah, if you'll let me.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, let's go.
I want to have your babies.
Yeah, let's take this offline. Hopefully
What is
my wife doesn't listen
How
to this
old are
podcast.
you, Mr. Alex?
How old am I, Mr.? It's Dr. Alex to you. I'm old enough. For my on my birthday, how old am I? Old enough.
Is that your birthday?
It's my birthday, yeah.
Today is your birthday?
Today is my birthday. Is it your birthday too?
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you. It's about time somebody wished me a happy birthday. Nobody else will do it.
I just wish you have a wonderful, wonderful birthday and consider having babies with me.
I'll strongly consider it. Strongly consider it. The answer is likely going to be a no until I can find out more information, but it'll be up there in my consideration.
Are you married?
Yeah, I am married, so that's going to weigh heavily in my choices.
Okay. Well, this is weird. I don't know. Alex is about ready to cheat on his wife, but you had a mystery caller, Alex. How do you want to say any parting words to our mystery caller?
Mystery caller, thank you for being a monumental part of the podcast. The first time we've had a mystery caller, somebody calling into the podcast as if it was live. We've had guests before, but nobody calling in, and certainly nobody as a.
I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
All right. Thank you so much. This is definitely very creepy.
I love it. I mean, they could stay for all I care. But
yeah, they could.
But although we did creep Alex out, we need to start talking about PlayStation now some more. Thank you, mystery caller. I can see very rarely is Alex rattled, and I can see he's just lost. He has no idea.
Shook.
He's shook. He's shook, and he may have shook his pants.
I shook in my pants. That's right.
Shook in your pants. Okay. Thank you again, mystery caller. Alex, let's jump back to it. I'm done talking about getting roasted on Twitter and YouTube, all that bull crap. Now let's talk about something that's near and dear to both of our hearts. And listeners, I know this has been a very strange introduction to a podcast, but crank it up. Because right now, this month, for Christmas time, PlayPS5 will have our first ever Christmas cards. That is right, Alex. On the scale from when we first started Play PSVR to now where we are in Play PS5, how monumental is this moment that we are sharing Christmas cards for anyone who wants them?
Well, I'd say getting a Christmas card from Play PS5, the podcast, ranks up there with the Nobel Prize or an Oscar. I think what's going to happen, have you ever heard of the EGOT? It's, the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. They're going to change it to the PGOT because the first one's going to be Play PS5, the podcast Christmas card. So if you want to get a PGOT, which not anybody has gotten yet, you could be the first one. Be sure to listen to Adam's instructions coming in. We're going to send out Play PS5, the podcast Christmas cards, and you could be a lucky recipient because we want to share the love of our podcast and PlayStation 5 and just Adam and we want to be on your fridge. That's what I want to know. We want to be on your fridge. That's all.
Want to be on your fridge and in your pants.
And Adam, before we go any further, I just want to say I'm still very shook by the guest caller. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. Don't know what I've gotten myself into.
Well, you said you'd have babies with an almost stranger. So here's the thing with the Christmas cards. This is a legitimate Christmas card. We're not like, slapping our wing ding on a piece of paper and sending it to you. This is a legitimate Christmas card. If you want one, regardless of where you live or anything, we want to be on your fridge. So email contact@playps5podcast.com. The 5 is the actual letter 5. It's not in words, it's a letter. So Oh, F me. PlayPS5podcast.com. Just say, hey, what's up? I love you guys. Hey, I want a Christmas card. Hey, shove it up your a-hole. You'll get a Christmas card. We obviously need your address. And so another thing, along with it, we may have a couple random codes coming in. And as we disperse these Christmas cards, we're just going to throw a code or two in there. It can be completely random. And one of the codes is going to be for the play of the week, Concept Destruction, that we're going to talk about here very shortly. But first, Alex, what are you sipping as your birthday gamer juice?
I just want to clarify, Adam. We don't have enough codes to send to everybody. We will be randomly selecting.
Random.
Just want to clarify that before everybody gets upset that they didn't get a code, which is understandable. My gamer juice this week, it is Mike's Hard Cranberry Lemonade. I'm getting lost in the sauce today to celebrate my birthday. It's good. It's a lot. I'm mostly, that very strange and scary call caused me to get down deep in my mug. And so I've probably gone a bit too quick. Going to slow down here for the rest of the podcast. But Adam, what are you drinking today?
Okay, last week I had Voss lemongrass something or another, and I was like, it sucked. It was bad. And I was like, there's just no way. Voss water is from Norway. Something's wrong. So I double dipped. I went back. I got Voss again, but this time it is lime mint. This is Voss's last chance to make an impression on my palate. And so lime, I love, and I'm a minty man. So I was like, I got to give it a try.
Speaking of making impressions on palates, was that your auntie that called?
I was not my aunt, no. That'd be hilarious. So this is definitely better than lemongrass, but this isn't bad. I would drink this. It is a very subtle taste of mint. You really get a burst of lime right off the bat. It's very good sparkling water. This is kind of what I expected the first one last week to taste like. I kind of wish it weren't so small. Like I have a second glass of just normal water.
Yeah, that's a silly shaped bottle. Adam, I'll have you know that when I walk to the Come and Go to get a man beverage like Mike's Hard Lemonade, Cranberry Lemonade, the drink that I pick up for my wife is Voss's water. I don't know what that says about you as a man getting the same drink that I purchased for my water, but just want to put that out there.
You mean your wife?
That I purchased for my wife.
Dude, you are shook, man. I'm telling you.
Rattled. I'm Rattle-like-a. I'm Rattle-like-a Games presents Concept Destruction. Play PS5 Play of the Week. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to do this, Adam?
Okay, so I want to clarify here. Concept Destruction, I think, is both a PS4 game and a PS5 game, but it's a game that no one is talking about. And so, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a smaller budget game, but I want you, Alex, to run us through Concept Destruction, because those of you who have a PS5, this is a cheap game, $5 that you could play on the PS5, and Alex will walk us through. Generally, Alex, talk about what's the point of the game, just an introduction with what we got here.
Yeah, we'll do the old Play PSVR review style here. It's published by Rattle-like-a Games, developed by Thin Ice. The price was $4.99. We were generously provided a code by the publisher, Rattle-like-a Games. So thank you so much for that. Adam, you're right. It's a PS4 game and a PS5 game. I think it pops up on some other consoles too. Right off the bat, I want to say I didn't notice any immediate need for this game to be on the PS5, so I didn't feel any special haptics on the DualSense or anything like that. I don't know how much it would change the game, but just right off the bat, it felt very much like a PlayStation 4 game. That's fine. I'm here to play games. I'm not here to dissect whether or not it belongs on my console, because any game can be played on the console. I'll be happy. What is this game about? Right off the bat, it talks about people making concept cars, and then they have to test the concept cars in real life. And the way they test them in real life is they make cardboard versions of those concept cars. And apparently, you make a cardboard version of a concept car, and you make a bunch of other cardboard versions of concept cars. And the way you test them out is you put them in a demolition derby with each other, because that's what this game is. This game is a cardboard concept car demolition derby game.
So that is intriguing to me. First, I'm assuming they're being honest about the concept car. I've never heard that. That's really intriguing, and that adds a different dimension. I just thought, to be honest, wait, first, do you know if that's legit?
I don't know what you mean by, I don't know why you think that's an extra dimension. I think the idea of it being a concept car is just that it's not a brand car. Like it's not a Ford Focus you're driving around. It's not a real car. It's something that just looks like a real car. It would be a concept.
Well, this, and I certainly don't mean this in any negative way. I believe it. When I saw the game, I thought it was a destruction, a car game, but they didn't want to go through making the physics and the detail of actual cars. So they were like, what's the easiest thing to do? Oh, we'll just make some cardboard cards.
I think that's it.
You think it's because if it's a concept car and that's all legit, then there's a reason behind that, not just we don't have the time or the budget. I mean, I don't know.
It's a decent reason, and it gives a reason to the motif of the game. You have these cardboard cutout cards. All of the environments are very like tabletop-y. So you're driving over like these giant pencils and pens and stuff because you're just a cardboard cutout of a car. You're not a real size car. And some of the levels get interesting with the multi-layers and stuff like that. And you go out of bounds and see some interesting stuff. So that's kind of the theme. Even if you look in the background, it looks like a kind of like a car designer shop where concepts are being drafted and stuff like that. In this game, there's ultimately, I think, like 5 or 6, maybe 7 car types that you can drive. Those are the concepts you can drive. But that's why the game is called Concept Destruction. You have cardboard cutout, cardboard model concept cars, and you're trying to destroy each other. So that is what the game is about. Story does not get any deeper there. There's no more. It just tells you the beginning. We're making cardboard concept cars, and we're going to destroy them.
And from what I saw, there's no weapons or speed boosts. It has nothing to do with any type of race like Wipeout. So it's almost like a demolition derby, right? You're just in a car and you guys are running into each other.
It's exactly a demolition derby. So that is the main gameplay loop we're talking about here. You are dropped in an environment with 49 other cars, and the name of the game is to be the last man standing or the man with the most points when the timer runs out. So you are to drive around the environment and ram your car into other cars. There's a little bit of strategy here. If you hold down the boost button, then you get, you accelerate and you run into a car and cause more damage. Quantifying that damage is difficult. There's no indication of how much damage you're inflicting upon a car, aside from seeing the damage that you're inflicting upon yourself. So, of course, it makes sense, right? You hit a car. Of course, you're going to hurt your car as well. So the strategy here is you kind of want to hit the cars in the right spot. You want to either knock the battery, because all these cars are supposedly battery powered. There's a little AA battery sitting inside all the cars. You want to knock the battery out, or you want to destroy the car's motor. The way you do that is by hitting it in the rear at just the right angle, or hitting it at just the right angle from the side to pop that battery right out. Beyond that, so really you're incentivized to hit things with the front of your car and not the back or the side of your car. An interesting thing here is that there's a lot of damage being done to the car, and so you can get some pretty interesting mechanics of your car, the way it drives and handles and stuff like that as your car accrues damage. It wasn't uncommon for my car to really just be an unrecognizable wad of cardboard with these weird floppy wheels that have kind of gotten all pushed in on top of each other, so your handling goes all to bits. That's probably one of the most interesting parts of the game. It can be annoying if you get an unfortunate combination of damage applied to your car, because then it becomes hard to steer, or maybe you don't go fast enough. But in the end, the game's about having fun, and it's kind of silly. And I took a couple pictures in photo mode of just how silly my car looked after ramming into a handful of other cars.
So I'm not opposed to these games that are simple. I think sometimes a simple game done well can be much better than a complex game like Godfall. And so, but the thing about the simple games is not only do they have to perform well, but then there's got to be some incentive still to continue to play the game in advance. And so in a game like this, I'm assuming you're winning these demolition derbies, for lack of a better word, and there's got to be some type of end game. Do you get new cars? Or do you climb up leaderboards? Is it like, what can you achieve by doing well in the game?
Yeah, so the progression here is there is progression in the game, and it's kind of done backwards, because what happens is the way you progress in the game is by completing events. So the basic mode is a championship mode. You're basically carrying a car through all the events, and you want to win. If you fail an event, you start just at that event. You don't go back to the very beginning of the championship mode. But what you want to do is you want to finish a level, and every time you cause damage to a car that will cause the car to be destroyed, you get points. And then when you finish a level, those points kind of get banked. And then after you get so many points, you unlock a new car. So it's really easy. 1,000 points, you get one car. 2,000 points, you get another car. 3,000 points in the bank, you get another car up to about 7,000, 8,000, something like that. Unfortunately, the first car you start off with is like, I wouldn't say it's the weakest car, but it's the least useful car, and that it has no glaring advantage, meaning that all the other cars you're competing against have some kind of strength that they can levy against you. And you kind of just have to get the lucky hits so that you don't destroy your own car in the process of trying to destroy the other cars. And so it would make sense to me, and I know it's kind of backwards to have a game where you start off powerful and you slowly get weaker, but to me it would make more sense if you start off with like the strongest, best car and you go through it, and then you get like a slightly weaker car, maybe a faster car that's more fragile or something like that, and then you win that way. But instead what's happening is you get like the worst car, and then you upgrade to like a faster car, and then it's easier to win. And then you upgrade to a heavier, more powerful car that has better boost. Then that's even easier to win. Then you get like a smaller car that's hard to hit, and that's even easier to win. So the game gets easier and easier and easier to win as you proceed. So that's kind of frustrating to me. Like it disincentivizes progressing through the game because I'm not seeing new challenges. It's like, oh, whatever complexity there was in the game, that has been decreased by a factor now. So yeah, there's the progression that happens right there. Yeah, you get points by completing a level. I will say, playing the game, maybe the first 30 minutes to an hour, I got pretty frustrated because it seemed impossible to even finish a level. You have 50 cars. It's 50 cars worth of damage you have to deal, or just be lucky that they deal to each other and you don't get hit so that you can finish the level. And you would think, oh, let's just wipe out one car and then let all the other cars beat each other up and you just kind of hide out. And that would work, except there are elements in the game such as if you don't hit another active car within a certain amount of time, you get disqualified. If you don't move your car for a certain amount of time, you get disqualified. So you have to keep hitting cars and you have to keep moving. And there were a number of times where my car seemed relatively fine and I would ram it into the side of another car that seemed pretty damaged, and my car would be the one on the biffed end, and I would lose. So that's kind of frustrating. I don't know what you're supposed to do about it. Maybe the game's supposed to, inherently the game's supposed to have some kind of chaos to it. But maybe there's a method to the madness. I don't know. Like I said, it's a silly game though, and I couldn't get too upset because it's Destruction Derby. These things happen.
Yeah. So the multiplayer aspect, is there multiplayer?
There is multiplayer. Unfortunately, it does not look like there's any online multiplayer, or maybe I just did not find a way to do it. The multiplayer was grayed out when I played it. I'm assuming that's because I didn't have a second controller turned on for the console. So there would probably be local multiplayer, which could be fun, but I don't really have anybody to play local multiplayer with. Nobody who's going to know how to drive a car. And are they going to enjoy playing this game when the winner is kind of determined just by who gets like the luckiest hit on somebody and then hides out the most? I don't know.
Yeah, fair. All right. So you've played, I don't know how much you played. So right now, game's $5. How much have you played? How much for if someone purchased this? How long do you think they could play it, get some value out of it? Like, what's the general lifespan of this game in terms of playing hours?
I played it for about 2.5 hours. And oddly enough, the more I played it, the more I kind of got into it. I enjoyed exploring the environments because they were kind of interesting. I got a handle of the car and things felt a bit better. Although a lot of it feels like you're killing time. You do the damage, you get yourself in first place because maybe you knocked out 3 cars and none of the computer controlled opponents are going to do that. And then you just kind of hide out and kind of nudge into a car every once in a while. I unlocked about half the cars. I very easily could have unlocked more had I not been restarting to, every time you get a new car and you try to restart to use that one, it erases your progress for that championship mode. You got to start from scratch. So all told, I'd say, hey, I did 2.5 hours, got half the game complete. So tops, you're looking at maybe 5 hours in terms of seeing all of the content in the game. Now, if you're a trophy hunter, maybe there's something there for you. I do think the game would greatly benefit from like some other kind of game modes that made sense. Listen, the developer made really interesting environments. If there was a race mode where not only are you racing, but you're also trying to knock other opponents and damage their cars as well, this game would be a lot more fun. So rather like a game's thin ice, you're listening to this, add a simple race mode to it. That would be fun. I'd love to race around the levels and also try to destroy my my racing compatriots and destroy their cars while trying to win the race. That would be a bit more goal oriented in my mind. So yeah, $5 though. It's $5. It's $5. That's one less Big Mac, Adam, when you're trying to win a free PlayStation 5. So it's hard to argue with that. Just know what you're getting into. It's not a world beater. This is almost like some kind of like a tech demo or something like that. It's a fun, simple game. You're going to have a decent time. I know there's probably some AAA games out there that are cheap that are $5. This isn't a waste of the money. It's just not the most fleshed out game either.
Fair enough. So last question, because I feel like, we've talked simple game, fairly simple gameplay. You've done a good job explaining it and what the listeners can expect. Who would be interested in a game like this if you had to take a guess? That way they can maybe go out and look for it, and then we'll move on.
When I think about people playing this game, I think about like young teenage kids home over Christmas break, just kind of looking for a game to kill some time with and just mess around and have a silly time. Maybe with some friends, you got some friends over, you're going to play PlayStation 5 games. You're tired of playing Call of Duty, you're getting motion sick or something like that. Throw this on there. That's what I'm talking about. If you're some kind of hardcore gamer, I doubt you're going to get super excited about this. Maybe some trophy hunters, but I don't think there's a platinum involved in this game. But that's the demographic we're looking for.
Cool. Awesome. So, I mean, definitely a game. Check out. It's on PlayStation Store again, $5 right there. Concept Destruction. So, speaking of a little bit more game-wise, Alex, today I received an email from the king himself, the Burger King, and he has given me a downloadable code for Demon Souls. So I've decided, Alex, what I'm going to do with this, whether you like it or not. I truly don't believe, after you've played it, do you still agree that Demon Souls probably isn't a game that I'm going to like? Do you agree with that, or have you changed your mind?
Knowing how frustrated you get at games, and Demon Souls is a game that you can get very frustrated at, I don't think you're going to be willing to commit the time to really enjoy this game. So that's what bothers me. I'd feel so bad if I tell you to download this and play this game, knowing you, Adam, the man with the worst taste in games of anybody I know. You're not going to like this game, I don't think. I mean, you played Bloodborne. What did you think about Bloodborne?
It was all right. I also only got to play it for a couple hours before I sold my PS4. It was about one of those where I didn't have anything else to play, and I mean, it was frustrating because, I don't know. It's difficult, and I feel like it's somewhat unfair, and I feel like that's why I've heard Demon Souls is it too. But because you said that, and because I've done my own research and stuff like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this code, and I'm going to sell on eBay. I'm going to make maybe $50, $40. And then from that, I can buy another game I do want to play that's in a physical version, play it, and then I can sell it. So not only am I gaining a game that I want to play, but I'm also gaining some of that value back, because once I sell that second game, I get some money back. It's like I'm like a self-fueling economy. I'm just fueling my gaming habit. And I'm pumped. So that is what I'm doing with my BK Demon Souls. Suck on it, Alex. I don't even care what you have to say anymore.
What if I'm trying to figure out if I want to do this, actually. I have a physical copy of Demon Souls. What if I sent you my physical copy of Demon Souls and you gave me the code for the digital Demon Souls so that I don't have to worry about putting the disc in? I just have the game on my system. And then you can try the game out, and if you don't like it, you sell it and get some money for it. That way you have it.
That's still screwing you, because then you can't sell it.
I'm never going to sell Demon Souls. That's the thing. I'm not going to sell it to somebody.
Why?
Because I love it.
You're not going to finish it.
No, I want to keep this game for that chance that maybe I strike it big and I win the lottery and I quit my job and I have unlimited hours in a week to play video games. And I make playing Demon Souls my job. I need to keep it for that purpose.
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, part of me wanted to get Demon Souls in physical version because I wanted to have a physical copy of it. Like these games that I truly love, I like having a physical copy of. But I'm getting frustrated having to swap out discs all the time.
It makes sense. Here's the other thing, Alex. What do you think I can make the most money from on eBay? A physical version or a download code?
That's tough. I was going to say certainly a download code because it's new, but like, what difference is the physical one? The physical one has to be worth more.
But but think about this. By having physical, you're already eliminating maybe half of the PS5 owners.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's true. I didn't think about that till right now.
But maybe people appreciate the collector's aspect of it. This is a tough idea, Adam.
Yeah. And there's not going to be many download codes on eBay. Like you don't get download codes, you know?
Here's the market you need to aim for. You got to find some of them dudes living overseas who don't want to buy the games in the country they're living in. They want the American code, and they'll pay top dollar for it.
Well, maybe I'll give it a try. I'm going to see what the market is. That's what I'm doing. I have nothing else for this segment unless you have a topic of concern, Alex.
No, that is it. I need to hurry up and get off of this call so I can go use the restroom and get my heebie-jeebies out after that random ass phone call that you set me up for without telling me. And so let me go do that. Let me go shake one out, and we will see you guys after the break.
So the question of the night is Godfall or Godfart? Because Alex, something smells. It smells like two Germans, one cup, and it's Godfall. Do you want to hear the good or the bad of Godfall? We need to open up a dialogue, Alex. We need to tell the listeners it is one of the biggest launch titles. It is a game that Sony has pushed since obviously launch and even before that. But, there's some things we got to walk through here, buddy. How do you want to tackle this? Do you want me to tell you my good and bad? Do you want to just make a beautiful weave making love to our hatred of Godfall?
Adam, I'll let you direct the conversation here. I have my own points, so I know my good and bad about Godfall, but I want to have a discussion here because I think what you look for in a game is different than what I look for in the game, and that will serve the listeners well to see two different viewpoints on Godfall or Godfart. I do want to clarify, I don't think Sony was pushing this game. I think Gearbox, who has all the money in the world thanks to the Borderlands series, I think they were pushing this game, and Counterplay Studios was doing their best making this game. But yeah, it was a game. It was the first PlayStation 5 or next generation game announced, and now we've played it and we have time with it. We didn't get a review copy, so this is our brutal opinion of us dropping the big cash on this game. So yeah, Adam, lead me in. How are we going to talk about Godfall?
First of all, I always give my unfiltered opinion, regardless, but I'm going to open
Remember that
this.
time? What game was it that you said was game of the year in January?
It was the second week of January. It was Cold Iron, and at that point, it was game of the year. F you.
It was the only game you played that year.
Dude, it was like one of 3 games.
Every game is game of the year in January if you haven't played anything else.
Well, I didn't lie. Anyhow, you know how when you do an interview, people, or maybe even at the dentist is like, wow, your teeth are really white. You must brush a lot. But then they give you a backhanded compliment after that, like, but you could do a better job flossing, or you got more cavities than a potbelly pig. So that's what I'm going to do with Godfall here. I'm going to talk to you about what I liked about it, what it does well, because there are some aspects of this game that are very well done and are top notch. Unfortunately, I think there are a lot of things that undermines that. So the first thing, anyone who watches the trailers, who've seen any gameplay, it is a beautiful game. Ray tracing rocks. The environments are insanely detailed. All of the characters, everything about it is so detailed, and they look so crisp and clean. It legitimately, I believe, is the prettiest game that I have ever played. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake was really nice. Kingdom Hearts 3 looked really good. Bloodborne, even, on PS4 looked really good. I mean, there are just a host of games that looked really good, but this is obviously on a next level. So it is a beautiful game, absolutely. 2, the game ran very smoothly. I've played the game 21 hours, and there was only one time where I saw movement in the game and there was like 1 second lag. It was during a cutscene. Other than that, the gameplay is buttery smooth. Everything is perfectly smooth, which I think for a game that looks that good, with how much that it's being downloaded and how quick the combat is and how many things are happening at once, I think is very impressive. There are some load times, but they're very short. They're long enough for you to look at the notifications on your phone, just, unfreeze your phone, look, and then boom, you're ready to play again. The multiplayer worked really well. Alex and I got on there and played. I think some of this is also the PS5 interface in general as well, but you make a party, you jump in there. It's really easy, works well. We didn't have any lag issues. Some other games that we've attempted to do multiplayer, glitches happen, or there's lagging, or you're not talking with each other in real time. This seemed to have worked very well. And finally, there are a lot of combat options. I was very impressed with, although there may be different categories of weapons, there are so many weapons in those categories. So, okay, yeah, you have war hammers, you have dual blades, you have long swords, but then there may be, I have no idea, 25, 30, or even more war hammers. And you do that for every one of those categories of weapons. And you got yourself an insane amount of customization. They have poison, and you can inflict bleed and breach enemies. Some of them are faster. Obviously, some of them deal more physical damage. Some catch the enemies on fire. Like, there are just so many, I guess, combinations of equipment and weapons and ways that you can play and perform the combat that I think is very enjoyable. So those, and I know from what I'm saying, you're going to be like, wow, that is a lot of amazing stuff. And before I dive into some other issues and things I want to talk about, are those things you felt as well, Alex, while playing the game?
Yeah, as I was playing the game, it's hard to put into words what I was feeling about the game. So I made a list as well of things that I was feeling in the game to kind of balance them out. I made a Godfall versus Godfart list. So since you started off with the good, I'll start off with the good too, and then we'll check ourselves and bring ourselves back down a little bit, back down to earth. Right off the bat, one, just like you said, Adam, gorgeous environments. I thought the game was very pretty. There was a couple of times I stopped and looked around, just to look around and see what a PlayStation 5 can do. And I thought, wow, that's a really beautiful, landscape, scenescape. My character has a lot of detail to it. The lighting is nice. Everything's real shiny and looks fancy and next generation, of course. Yeah, looks gorgeous, looks pretty. 2, you mentioned the combat. I appreciated that this was a fresh take on, kind of the MMO style of combat. Usually you play an MMO like World of Warcraft or something like that, and it's like you hit one button and it kind of goes through the animation and it rolls the dice and it does the damage. But this they're going for something more visceral. So they're kind of trying to do with an action RPG what Destiny did with a first-person shooter. And the looter shooter system, they're trying to do that with third-person combat, trying to take something kind of like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and put it into like a Destiny-style online multiplayer game, looter hack and slash game. And for the most part, it works. So I appreciate that. Again, you mentioned some of the combat stuff. You have your melee, everything's melee. You have some shield interactivity, which it's kind of a cooldown thing, but there's some fun stuff there. You can bash people with a shield. You can throw it like a projectile. You can throw it in a circle shape. And then there's things, if you have proper timing, you can make like exploding shields and stuff. Interesting mechanics with that. There's even that cool mechanic where you attack enemies and you're eating away at their health, but you're also eating away at like this kind of sub-health bar to where if you get that completely gone, you could do a strong attack and just kill the enemy in one hit right there. Interesting. I haven't seen that in another game. It didn't seem to have too much of an effect on how the game played, because sometimes it just felt like, oh, if I just land 3 more hits, I forget the visceral attack that I'm about to do. I'll just kill him like normal. I don't know if there was a recharging magic or something like that. Didn't make itself clear, but it was an interesting mechanic and layer added onto the combat, and I appreciate that. 3, production. Obviously, somebody pumped some money into this. You got a lot of voice acting going on. You got beautiful animations, beautiful environments. You have extremely opulent music that, you know, if I was able to focus on the music, maybe I would like it more. I mostly heard it in load screens when I was loading up the game, and I would think, wow, that's a nice score. And then I'd get into the game and totally forget about it. So take that for what it is. But the production value seems really high in this, and that can go a long way on some of these games to make you have a good time. And then 4, there's an interesting skill tree, which goes a long way in these games to add some diversity to it. Usually a skill tree, what happens is you add points to a certain system and it branches off in different paths, and you lock your way into a certain type of play style. Here, the skill tree kind of all coalesces into one thing in the end. You build up these converging paths rather than a diverging path. You build up converging paths, and your skill trees kind of meet in the middle. I thought that was an interesting take. I kind of like that because in the end, I don't really care about what class I end up on. I just want to get the skills that I want to get, and this allowed me to do that. So I thought that was interesting. Those are my Godfall moments. The interesting things I thought about the game, Adam. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like everything, I agree with what you mentioned there. That I have played Destiny 2. I don't know. I didn't play a ton. Maybe put 10 hours into it. But I definitely like the more hand-to-hand combat than this first-person shooter stuff. I did not like Destiny 2. I played with a friend, mainly just to talk with him, connect with him some, and that's about it. I did not enjoy the game. I did not find it fun. I thought it was confusing and extremely boring. This I definitely found better than that. I would rather play this than Destiny 2 any day of the week. I really did, especially for 0 to 10 hours, really enjoy the combat, because you're right. Visceral, I think, is a good adjective to describe this. And it felt like, depending on what weapon you were using, there was some type of, you felt the impact of that weapon, which I don't think is always an easy thing to do in games like this. And so that, I think they did extremely well. I also find it interesting, some of the production I believe was good and well made, but I mean, you got to agree that the voice acting sucked, right?
It wasn't anything special, but it was more voice acting than what you see in something like Demon Souls. It seemed fairly well acted. Everybody talking, they seemed, it was fully voice acted. What can I say? Almost any game is, but it was there, and it wasn't distracting, which is sometimes hard to find in a game, especially with this amount of dialogue.
Yeah, okay. So these negative things, I feel like I'm going to go a little slower, and we're going to open up a bit of a dialogue, because I feel like everything we said good about the game, I think is pretty self-explanatory. I feel like we don't really need to dive too much into those. I do, as we lead into some of the things we didn't like, a lot of my things, like the fact that the game is beautiful, the short load times, the fact that multiplayer worked well, and the fact that the game ran so smoothly. My question to you is, although those things, I feel like Gearbox, they should deserve some credit here, or than the developers, but is that a result of a good game, or is that a result of a better system and the power of the PS5? Because if that's the case, I don't think this game should be lauded for those things if it's just the fact that the PS5 has so much more power and the ability to do those things. It's not the game, it's a console.
Yeah, I think you're right. We shouldn't give too much credit to the game for not screwing up the things that it shouldn't screw up, right? It's meeting the bare minimum requirements of the things that the console demanded. And for all we know, that's just what Sony told them. Is like, you have to have multiplayer that works. You have to have short load times because we are banking on this. So yeah, this is what we expect. This is the new bare minimum expectation, is short load times and pretty graphics and multiplayer connections that actually work. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go back through my things real quick, and you just tell me, is that a result of should we give credit to the game or should we give credit to the console? The fact that the game is pretty.
Console. It didn't seem artistically pretty to me. It seemed technically pretty. So that's console.
Okay, fair. Game ran smoothly.
Technical. Yeah, console. You know what? There's pretty games that, something like Bloodborne, 30 FPS locked. Okay, I'll give it to him. It was smooth.
Okay. Short load times.
No, that's the console.
Okay, multiplayer works well.
Console. Of course it's going to work well. You're stupid if you can't get multiplayer to work well on a console. Everybody's connecting the same way.
Okay, so that means I had 6 good things to say. Actually, I take it back because the one I was going to say is a good thing and I changed it. So really, I have 5 good things to say about the game. And according to what you just said, 3 of them the credit goes to the PS5, not the game. So really, I've got 2 good points to say about Godfall, which we're leaning into it now, folks. Here's the thing. The defining word for this game is lack of creativity for me. I guess that's not one word. This game is so uncreative that it pains me. I am just so blown away how painfully uncreative this game was. Alex, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you agree? I'm talking about in terms of the fact that a lot of the monsters look identical. The plot is god awful.
Yeah, I think a way we could encapsulate it, Adam, is you've beaten the game. Describe to me the plot. Don't spoil it, but it's the premise of the game.
Jeez. Okay. You are a Valorian, just a race of people, and...
Guess what that is? Who knows? Okay, go.
Yep, no, you're a race of people, whatever. And your brother attempts to kill you to gain ultimate power and become a god. You survive. Then you get help from these people that seemingly, with very little backstory, seemingly were against you at one point, or at least you have suspicions of. And you slowly defeat your brother's entire army and the highest officers that he trusts, and then him.
Yeah. So
that's it.
That's it. And here's the thing about the plot. I think they were gunning for something like Destiny had a similar thing like that, where you start and it's like, there's all this stuff's going on. I don't really know why I care about it, but I think part of that issue was because I started playing Destiny at Destiny 2. So there's a whole game's worth of stuff that happened that I wasn't privy to, that people seem to have known what was going on. I also think they were hoping people would buy into the lore and plot of the game the way that people bought into the lore and plot of something like Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls, the plot is very, they give you very little right in front, but then you pick up small details here and there from like item descriptions or one-off comments that NPC characters make. And some of the joy in the plot of that game is piecing those puzzles together. But in this, it's just like they want you to read mountains of text, go through these really kind of odd to navigate menus and piece together lore elements for a plot that you already intrinsically kind of don't care about. Like, yeah, it's a brother, but it's almost like they thought I'd get motivated by the fact that they just said, oh, that guy used to be your brother. That guy's your brother. But I don't care. I don't know much about him. I don't know much about his character. I don't know much about my character. And also, inexplicably, I change person every time I change armor set, but somehow like the same spirit in the armor. That wasn't explained. Just, yeah, generic plot. Just generic plot. I'm sorry. It was very generic.
Not only is it generic, but it is so uninspired. It is mind-blowing. You have this game that you're pushing so hard at. It's a launch title. You could make a huge splash. They've got a lot. They honestly have the foundation of the game set. But the things that take it from a, I guess, good game to a great one, they just utterly failed. The plot is so bad. I'm trying to think of a game with a worse plot. It is just so painfully generic.
Kingdom Hearts.
F you. I'm not even getting into this, you fool. Listen, this game, the plot, I hate just keep saying it's generic. The thing that's generic about it is that nothing is set up. You're getting help from these people that you don't know. I don't know who they are. And then the voice acting is bad. The way they talk is just so bad. It's like the person, there's a person called the Seventh Sanctum, and she is helping guide you into what worlds to go into and what people you must defeat and what missions you must accomplish to progress. And for example, like the plot, you accomplish the first part of the mission, and she's like, "Oh, Orin, you now have access to the Black Tide commander, and he's waiting for you up on the hill. You must fight him." And Orin, the main character, he's like, "Oh, I still have my weapon in my hand. They haven't killed me yet. He will die." It's so like, what is that?
It really feels like a mobile game that was like given so much cash that they were like, let's just take it from a cell phone game. Let's just make it a PlayStation 5 game. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like it's cribbing mechanics from successful games, and they tried to make like a cell phone game, but kind of like what would happen when you see like on the Google Play Store or the iPhone store, these games that are obviously Zelda knockoffs, and you start playing them and you're like, how bad can it be? It's just following Zelda. And then you realize like there is nothing there except for the fact that it's trying to be Zelda. That's what this felt like when I played it. And to give a counter example of a game that seemed very similar to Too Human for me. If anybody remembers that from the Xbox days, a notorious game in its own right. But Too Human did something very similar where you have these all-powerful beings. You have a brother that you're trying to defeat, but they encapsulated it in this interesting story of like Norse mythology mixed with like, instead of gods, you had these people who were just obscenely rich, so rich that they could buy themselves like this special armor and technical ability to make them seem as if they were gods around other humans. And so that it added this weird layer, and you kind of came across that understanding on your own. Whereas this instead is just like, oh yeah, here's you, and you're super strong. And that guy is also super strong. And don't you want to fight him now? And you don't want to fight him because of the story. You want to fight him just because you're so freaking bored and there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
The whole plot revolves around you being so bored that there's just nothing else to do. So yeah, sure, I'll fight him. I just don't have anything else better to do.
And I want to move on because there's other stuff to talk about, but I'm at a crossroads because I don't want to mention the end of the game.
Don't spoil us like you did last time.
No, I'm not going to say anything about it. I just want to say, my Lord, are you kidding me? I cannot think of a worse ending to a book, a movie, a video game. It is, let's just say the ending is par for the course for the plot to that point. It is so incredibly bad.
Just tell me, did it set up a sequel?
Were
they that hopeful that they would set up a sequel?
Well, the thing is, they did such a bad job. I think they attempted to, but it's so bad, I don't know. Because at first I watched it and I was like, oh no, there it is. There's the sequel set-up. But then they kept going on and they ruined the setup to a point. So now I don't know what's going on. So it's bad. I do believe they were planning on having a second one because there's still there is mystery on there's still a piece of the puzzle missing, or they are just god awful storytellers, which I legitimately think they are. So I don't know which one. Okay, next point. I think it's overpriced. The game base is $60. I played it for 21 hours and I finished the game. I beat most of the post-game things that you can do. And I'm not mad at that time. 20 hours, I think, is a great time for a game. Much more than that, you're overstaying your welcome. But $60, I just feel like for 20 hours, and I guess really it's the game. It's the game that made it overpriced. If it had a good plot and it had better voice acting and there were different elements and it made me want to go back and not immediately sell the game once I got done with it, then I think I would be more, be like, okay, $60. But for what it is, how it is right now, I'm sorry. I think $60 is overpriced. Do you have any buyer's remorse, Alex, for paying full price?
This game is the definition of buyer's remorse. As you recall, I was kind of hyped for this game because I thought it showed promise. It was offering something that I thought was sorely lacking in the video game sphere. I wanted a game like Destiny with hack and slash combat akin to a Souls game. But the one thing I was accurate about was that this game should have been free to play because it feels like a free to play game. Don't give me all the armors. Maybe I'll enjoy the game and I want to buy the other armors. Let the first armor set that is apparently a character, let that dictate whether or not I'm interested enough in the game. Let that be the free version of the game so we can see what's lying underneath. Because, man, 60, are you sure it's 60? Sure it wasn't 70? $59.99. That's the price, right? Yeah.
I think that's the base, yeah. I mean, there were versions go up to 90.
You think people bought that? Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, here's one thing about the game. Usually a game like this that'll come out and people don't like Fallout 76, that's the quintessential game that released and everybody hated. Even if you go on the subreddit for that game, you'll find people finding nuggets of enjoyment and sharing those and saying, this is why I like this game. But when I go on the Godfall subreddit, there's no nuggets of enjoyment. There's nobody saying like, this is why I like this game. It's just people saying like, hey, I finished the game. Will somebody grind with me? Or, hey, here's what you need to fix. Please fix this so I can finally enjoy this game. There's just nothing special there. It just feels like a free-to-play game that they were too lazy to implement a free-to-play model. So they were like, we'll just give you everything and you pay $70, which sounds good in theory. But the beauty of a free-to-play game is you can try it for free and see if it's worth a damn. And in this case, didn't really seem like it.
You know what playing Godfall is like? It's like drinking water during your entire podcast and then looking in your water and seeing a dead floating gnat in it.
So what part of Godfall is the gnat? The plot?
The game. The entire game is a dead gnat in my water that I just drank.
And the water is the PlayStation 5?
I don't know, but I just drank a whole glass of water and there's a dead bug in it. So that's kind of right.
Move on, Adam. Move on.
Identical gameplay for 20 hours. The first 10 hours, okay, I enjoyed it because it was different and there's a lot to learn. The gameplay, in a sense, can just be smash R1, a button masher. But if you really wanted to get into it, there are banners and there's different equipment, there's different abilities, and you have to see how these two things match. Each Valor plate, which is like your armor, they have different augments that change. There's a lot of components, RPG-like elements that go into this. So you can make it more complex and really kind of think about what you're doing and customize it, or you really can just smash R1. Once I was 10 hours in, I text Alex and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Game's horrible. And then I learned a little bit more about parrying, and I did that more, and that helped get me through. But it's the same thing. The enemies may be a little different. The environment may be different, but ultimately it's the same thing. And there isn't enough variety to make me want to continue playing. It's the same. You just mash buttons. Sometimes that's enjoyable, but for a long $60 game, I have to have more. And to me, that's a negative. Do you feel the same, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of mentioned a salient point that there's a lot of different ways you can approach the combat. It's just unfortunate in that all of those ways seem to work on the enemies. So yeah, I can parry every enemy to kill them, or I can mash R1 to kill them, or I can try to deplete their secondary health bar and then do the finisher on them to kill them, or I can throw my shield and kill them. Either way, they're all going to die, and it's all going to have the same effect. And so then you end up with like, what's the point? Why am I adding needless complexity to this just for the sake of that's it? It's complexity just for the sake of complexity to say they did it. Now, I didn't get as far as you, Adam. Maybe there's something in the game there, but like when I played Demon Souls, you play the first level of Demon Souls and you go through and you run into these basic enemies, you fight them, and then suddenly you run into this dude who's dressed up in like all this armor and stuff. And turns out the only way you can beat him is to get really good at parrying or really good at dodging, and you can't just slash through him. But in this, you could just hammer on R1 and break their guard. Or you can hammer on R1. You seem to be doing the same amount of damage regardless of what happens. Everything feels so samey all the way through. And maybe that's what's most disappointing is the combat mechanics are there to make something really fun and enjoyable. They just didn't flesh out the enemies to match that.
Yeah, one good thing I am happy for, maybe I wouldn't want to put this in a good thing. So as you are fighting, everything's pretty easy until you get to a boss. Even if you're playing normal enemies and they gang up on you, if you die, there are checkpoints within a boss and right before you play a group of enemies. And if you die, you start back at that point. So for example, if I'm fighting a boss and I get halfway through and die, I come back. Really, you lose nothing from what I can tell. Everything is exactly the same, but you now have full health, full potions, and the boss is still at 50% health. So on one hand, it's like, yeah, you're right. There were a couple bosses that, yeah, I could have figured out what their weak point was, but it was easier just to hack and slash, purposely go until you die, resurrect, and just do it again, and boom, he's dead.
It was easier for you to just grind your level up a little bit and then slash through the boss than it was for you to actually learn how to fight the boss, right?
Yeah. Okay, so that could be good or bad. I don't like difficult games.
It's bad.
So I'm glad it's like that, because some of those bosses, there's no way you're going to beat in one hand, in one shot, unless you grind. Anyhow, okay. So again, we kind of talked about that this game has all the groundwork to be great, but it's infuriating because they just failed on certain parts. And one of these is that you are in this boss battle and it's an epic battle. Oftentimes it really is like, it's a rather 5 to 10 minute long battle. And you really do feel like it's a hard fought battle. And at the end, you finally reign supreme. You're finally ready to kill this huge monster. And they have the worst ending battle animations I've seen in any game in my life. I'm sure there are other games I can't think of off the top of my head, but you defeat a boss and they have some awesome way, like even do Shadow of the Colossus. They have an awesome way that the enemy falls down or that you kill them, or there's some awesome animation at the end and you're like, yes, like it's fulfilling. Yeah. This is horrible. You have everything at your disposal. You have swords, you have their weapons, you have all these different categories of weapons and shields. And what's he do? In, I would say, maybe 70% of the cases, he punches the boss.
Oh no.
It's horrible.
Because that's the one weapon that every character has, right?
You think that's it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Because no, I see what you're talking about. Like, if you played any other game like this, the final move would be something crazy like, oh, you cut off their head and then you stab it onto the sword and then stab their own head into their chest or something crazy like that. But instead, this is like the guy's on the ground in these days and you mash R3 to get that cool death cinematic. And instead, he just punches them and they go down and their body disappears and you get your loot, right?
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's awful. That's awful.
I mean, and the thing is, even if you use different characters and different armors, you always have a weapon.
No.
Like, what I'm blown away on how lazy and stupid that is. You are facing, so there's this one enemy that looks like a big crocodile. And, you know, he has a ton of health, and I was playing him end game, so he had higher health, higher level. He was more difficult to beat, and I finally got him, and I was like, yeah, baby, R3. And, I mean, the crocodile, he was on his back, and I was like, oh, this son of a gun's gonna, and I have a perfect sword, gonna jump, and he's gonna stab his face, or he's gonna gut him live or something. No. He jumps on top of him, slaps him in the face so the crocodile turns to his side, and then he punches him, literally punches him, and the crocodile just lays there dead. That's it. No blood, no whimper of death, nothing. It was horrible. What are you doing? And that's just, I mean, I know that's something seemingly small, but that is how I feel like a lot of this combat is. It's like almost there, but the finishing touch that really is needed to make it a fulfilling experience, they leave out.
Yeah, it's neutered. It feels neutered.
Yeah. And I mean, the game in general is, okay, that's enough of that. Final thing I want to mention here is that I will admit, there's a decent amount of post-game additional content, and at first I was going to put this under the pros until I started playing more of it. And it is the most infuriating thing that I'm so mad, because so you play the game, there's a bunch of bosses, and you get through the whole game and all that good stuff. You beat the final boss, and then there is this post-game content where you can go and supposedly there's one more mystery end boss. And I was like, whatever, I'll try to play it. But to get to that point, they have these things called dream stones where you purchase them and you have to fight 3 battles in a row. And then you do that for I don't know how many rounds, and then you can fight the mystery boss. Well, the mystery boss, or not the mystery boss, the little rounds getting up to the mystery boss, all they are fighting old bosses or old missions, and it's at random, so it's not in order. I've played 6 rounds of the post content game. I have fought the same boss. I counted it because I thought it was hilarious. I fought the same boss 7 times. The same. And then what's real fun is when they take 2 bosses and to, really spice it up, they take 2 bosses and make you play them and fight them together.
They're not like complementary. It's not like complementary fighting styles, right? It's just 2 bosses happening at the same time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And most of the time you can run away. One will chase you and the other one will sit back, and then you just take them out one at a time.
And you just mash R1 on one and you mash R1 on the other.
Yep. It is the laziest thing I have ever, I won't say ever seen. It is extremely lazy. The fact that it's the same environment, even the missions in those levels that you complete, it has the same voice acting. Like, this is post game, and yet it's the same exact gameplay. They just copied and pasted it at the end of the game. Everything's identical. It's just so lazy. And although it's nice that there's an additional 3-4 hours of content, but you've played the same exact thing. And I guarantee you, I'm 1 stage away from fighting the mystery boss. And I guarantee you that is going to be stupid. And it's going to be the same mother effing boss. You're going to end up fighting your brother again. I feel it. This game effing sucks. Screw you, Gearbox. You dropped the ball. Anything else you want to add about why this game is Godfart?
Yeah, I have my Godfart list here, and it kind of plays off what we mentioned earlier. 1, I said the environments are gorgeous. Really, the environments have 0 environmental activity. There's absolutely 0 elements of platforming in this game. So although the environments look pretty, there's no real way you can enjoy the environments. It's essentially a series of ramps with context-sensitive jumps. I'm talking about off-putting things like a log has fallen down in this path, and you, this great warrior, can't step over it for some reason. There's a knee-high waterfall. Guess what? You better walk a mile around it to get to the top of it. If you do want to fast travel, there's these little things that you can gently aim your reticule at and hold down O, and you jump towards it. But even those are like placed in awkward positions to where it is actually faster to just walk to that thing than it is to try to line up your reticule and hold down O to jump there, unless it's over a gap. And then sometimes you have a context-sensitive jump to get you across that gap, but yeah, who cares about a beautiful environment if there's no incentive to explore it? I'm not going to find anything nice or wonderful. I might get some extra currency that I don't really know what it does. It doesn't really provide any value to me unless maybe I want to change the color of my armor or something like that. I don't know. All of my exploration ended up with things that I didn't really care about, which leads me to my next point. The loot. So a game like this, a looter, hack and slasher, it lives and dies by the quality of its loot. And the loot here is so unexciting. Everything is extremely opulent. It glows and it looks so beautiful and it's got this sheen to it and you think it's great. And when everything seems great, nothing is great. And again, I go back to Too Human, which is not necessarily a great game, but it did this well. And other games in the vein do this well, where when you have a really great piece of armor drop, it goes like, oh, and you know that something special happened. But here you'll pick up a legendary unique sword, and then you look at it and it's like 46% chance of setting somebody on fire, and it looks just like all the other swords, but it might be a little bit golder, and your attack pattern is exactly the same as the common variant of the sword. And so you don't care. You don't care. All you end up looking at is DPS, unless you're trying to do some weird build. But why would you care about doing a weird build? Because, bringing me to my next point, all of the enemies are just level gated. all that matters in the end is if you're a higher level than the enemy you're fighting. If you are level 21 and all the enemies are level 20, you're going to have no problem dispatching them, whether they're ranged, whether they're magic, whether they got poison. Just run over to them, mash R1, and they die, which bothered me so much because there's complexity in the combat, but really what I wanted to do was just figure out a way to move from enemy to enemy quickly, because I know really the real way you're going to kill them is you're going to hit R1 until they die. If you want to do your R2 special attack, the animation just takes so long, it's not worth it. If you want to try to do like a shield bash or something, it's just, you got to wait for the cooldown. It's just not going to be worth it. I just need to get to the enemy and hit R1 because they're not going to do enough damage to me in the meantime to even make it matter. So that's the problem, is the enemies are just level gated. Even the bosses, if you're high enough level, the bosses aren't going to matter. And you don't even got to be that high of a level to just blow past a boss. It's so frustrating, and it's such a sin for a game that's trying to capitalize on a decent combat system, that I'll admit. And then finally, the multiplayer, Adam. The multiplayer works well functionally, but the feeling of the multiplayer, it feels parallel. It doesn't feel cooperative. So when you and I played together, it didn't feel like we were working as a team. It just seemed like we were two dudes who happened to be fighting guys at the same time. And so things took half the time. It's not like, oh, guess what? I'm going to do this to the guy. I'm going to cast this poison on him or something like that. And then you can come at him with like a physical attack because now he's weakened because I did some magic to him. Or here, you take all the damage. I'm going to heal you so I can charge with a special spell that I'm going to cast or something. No, we're all essentially the same characters. Some people are a little bit faster, but that's about it. And so we're all hacking and slashing. And if there's two of us, we hack and slash and, half the time. And that sucks. It sucks. And there's no fun. And then on top of that, the weapons. Yeah, Adam, there's different weapons, but all of the great hammers feel the same. All of the great swords feel the same. All of the twin blades feel the same. And guess what? All you care about is that DPS, damage per second. So I don't care if I'm using a twin blade or a great sword or anything like that, because I don't have like a stamina meter or something that really affects how often I can swing a weapon. So all I'm doing, again, mashing R1. And sometimes it takes me 5 seconds to get 2 hits off. Sometimes it takes me half a second to get 2 hits off. But I don't care, because all we're caring about is the damage per second. And so it's not like I'm going to get staggered or something like that in between slices. Oh, the game's just disappointing. It's a pretty game, and the combat can be good, but it just sucks. I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it, and I hate that I bought it.
Yep. So my final verdict between Godfall or Godfart is how about you?
My final verdict. Squeaky toot.
That's a wet one. Okay, so that's where we're at with Godfall, Godfart. I feel like it could have been a really good game. It's just not. I kind of feel, is there any reason for me to keep it, Alex? Is there going to be any point where you're going to want to play with me, or should I just sell it?
When we played together, it wasn't that fun. It was fun because I was talking to you, but that's about it. So yeah, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Who's going to buy it, right? They were obvious with their intent of not really adding too much to the game after the fact, although I think they did add some DLC or something, but I don't care about DLC unless you rehaul the game, revamp the game to make something I really want to do, some new enemy that breaks the paradigm of the game entirely. I'm not interested in coming back to it, even though I didn't even finish it. I don't want to finish it. Sell it.
Sell it. All right. New games that are coming around the corner. We're going to try to go into a little more optimistic point of view here.
Yeah.
Because Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed, but is coming out on the 9th of December. It has been a long-awaited title. It has Game of the Year aspirations for sure. Alex, you have pre-ordered this game. What makes you excited for it, and what are you expecting out of this game?
So, although I haven't played too much of it, Cyberpunk 2077 is developed by the team that made The Witcher 3. That's the game I haven't played much of. That is one of the most legendary of all time games that everybody says is great and amazing. And people I trust have said that. So I expect good things about this. They spent a lot of time on it. We're all hyped about it. You play it first person. I love Cyberpunk. I've been reading Neuromancer, Count Zero, Mona Lisa, Overdrive, all these William Gibson novels, getting myself hyped for the cyberpunk aesthetic. Keanu Reeves is in it for whatever that means. The plot sounds intriguing. The developer is a promising developer. They're releasing it on all consoles. It's supposed to be like the pinnacle of what these action RPG type games can be. And it's a developer that you can trust to deliver on the promises. That's why it is so hyped. And then it also seems like it's going to be one of those cross-generational games that really maximizes what it is we loved about the PlayStation 4 and what the PlayStation 4 could do. And then it hopefully will be enhanced by the PlayStation 5. And so what I'm doing right now is trying to figure out, are we going to get the PlayStation 5 enhancements at launch? Last I saw, the upgrades weren't going to be in effect, but yeah, I'm reading that they won't be here until 2021. So if you get Cyberpunk 2077, it's going to be the PlayStation 4 version, and it's going to be a PlayStation 4 game until sometime in 2021. We're going to get upgrades to make it better, make it faster, make it look like a PlayStation 5 game. Adam, all of this in mind, I know you haven't played Witcher 3, but you like RPGs, you like action RPGs. Is there anything like, do you like Cyberpunk? Do you like things like The Matrix or something like that? Is there anything to get you hyped about this?
So a couple quick things. One, I feel like it almost reminds me of a Grand Theft Auto type thing. I haven't done much research, but I just see these dark, shady characters, dark city. I don't even know what the game's about, but that's the kind of vibe I got. And I'm not a huge fan of Grand Theft Auto. I don't think it's really in that vein. I mean, it's kind of got some open-ended stuff like Grand Theft Auto, but it's not the kind of game where you're just going around killing everybody and seeing what happens. Okay, cool. And the fact that and one reason why I honestly haven't even thought about the game is I'm not buying a PS4 game, dog. I've got PS mother effing 5. It is time to play next gen. And will I buy it in January when it comes out and has the new, update? Yeah, maybe. And probably by then it's going to be a little cheaper. So that's good on both ends. But I am definitely not buying it until they come out with those optimizations. That is foolish. And I think you would be a fool having Demon Souls and Miles Morales and the couple games that we have in the pipeline right now. And we haven't played Sackboy. You haven't played The Pathless. There are other games that are PS5 games that are optimized that you should be playing, and you should wait on this.
Well, so the reason I didn't wait is because I get this as part of the buy two, get one free sale at Target. So this is one of the games that is available. It's $50. So I'm paying $50 for what's going to be a $60 game when it comes out on the PS5. So I'm okay with that. I can play a little bit, see if it doesn't wow me enough, then I'll just put it on the shelf and wait. It is kind of interesting. Is this going to bite me in the ass? Because the other game I bought in the buy two, get one free sale was Godfall. That's bit me in the ass. Now I'm buying a PlayStation 4 game when I should have given a PlayStation 5 game. The third game is Hitman 3. Who knows how that's going to turn out? So I might have just really, taken a bone there. But no, you make a good point, Adam. Should we even worry about it until the PlayStation 5 improvements come out?
This is what I would do if I were you. I would get the game. I would sell it while it's still shrink wrapped for full price. Get that $60 and then keep it. Buy it cheaper in January. You probably just made yourself $20.
But I wouldn't mind just playing the game, man. Like I don't know. I'm the kind of guy who will start the game and put it down for a handful of months, and then the enhancements will come out, and I'll start playing and be like, wow, it looks so much better. So I know it's going to be a long game. This kind of game, you have multiple ways of going through it. So maybe I'll go through it one way at like 60 FPS on my PlayStation 5, playing a PlayStation 4 version, and then the fancy version will come out, and I'll know how to streamline the game, and I'll enjoy it. I don't know. Sounds like you're not interested, Adam. Adam, are you interested in Temtem?
No. Here's the thing. It is somewhat depressing in that there aren't any games on the horizon I'm super pumped for, but that is why I'm going to play Horizon Zero Dawn, because I cannot wait for Forbidden West, because that looked like a miracle on a TV screen. And so I'm going to play it. That way I am up to par with the story and what is going on. And then I will be ready for Forbidden West. So that is what my plan is.
All right. Well, you know what, listeners? Please tell us what game you're looking forward to on the PlayStation 5, because right now it seems like we're getting a lot of PlayStation 4 games and not a lot of fun PlayStation 5 games coming out. Of course, everybody's trying to dodge Cyberpunk 2077 launch window, so I see why there's a delay there, but it's holiday season. We got a new console. I want to play new console games. So I think that's about it for this episode of the Play PS5, the podcast. Just to reiterate, if you would like a Play PS5 Christmas card, we would love to send you one. So please send us your address to contact@playps5podcast.com. That's contact@playps5podcast.com, or hit us up on Twitter or YouTube or whatever you got to do to give us your address. We want to give you a card. We love you. Happy birthday, bitches. Thanks for listening to Play PS5, the podcast. Let your auntie know I'm down to make babies with her, but only if she hooks us up with 5 stars on iTunes, or you're making toot noises at him, or hits that subscribe button on YouTube. Anything to get our genes out there and in your ears. All right, Adam, quit it. Quit the farts, Adam. Santa's watching you. Don't play with yourself. Play PS5.